Joanne, 47 years ago, in 1965, on this very date, I wrote the first of 3 poems that I call the Joanne Trilogy. You were celebrating your 35th birthday on that date back in 1965. Paul had just turned 40 1 month before. I was just 24 and in love with another Joanne, my Joanne. Please allow me to share these poems, these memories with you today. The Joanne Trilogy. There's an inscription in Latin, Semper in memoriam Ioanni mei, always in memory of my Joanne. These 3 poems are written in haste for the very nice Miss Joanne Lee Bryce. Born of flesh in 39, we had time, we had fun, gone with God in 71. The first of these 3 poems was written on today's date, February 27, 1965. I once heard Bob Dylan say that the words fell out of the ceiling. That's exactly what happened here. The poem is called The Leaves Had Left the Trees. The leaves had left the trees were bare, all gone with autumn's breeze, you left me standing there. The leaves had left the trees of a chord it seemed their own. They fell before the winter's freeze. Oh, so cold am I alone. Often came we to these trees, but not when leaves were red. Laughing, singing, hearts both ringing. Oh, why so hard to lift my head? I am a leaf, you are a tree, said you to me to please. But summer passed, and so you see, the leaves had left the trees. This is the only poem I've allowed to be published during my life. Just by accident, I won a poetry contest back in 1981. And it was published in the Sherburne Mountain Times. And it's a very fond memory that this beautiful poem was accepted for publication on my birthday, on my 40th birthday in 1981. The second poem is called To Find But Not Possess. To find but not possess, you're here but not to stay. To you from me is love's direction, but not the other way. To see but not be seen, and me for another you look. I'm weary waiting for the night to resume your search in some other book. To love but not be loved, you might see when last we caress. I'm just a storybook character, to find but not possess. Some years later, in 1971, Joanne Lee Bryce died. And I was away in Europe, studying. And I only learned of her death a year after it had happened. In 1979, remembering her, I wrote the last of the 3 poems of the Joanne Trilogy. It's called The Portrait of the One I Knew, to the memory of Joanne Lee Bryce, 1939-1971. Brother of the girl I should have married, drink with me your sister's wealth, which lies unfound on some odd shelf, next to the portrait, yet unpainted, of the one I knew. Mother of the woman would I wedded, son to you I would have been. Share with me a time you had with her, who was my lovely, to help me know and love the portrait of the one I knew. Father of the mother of my children, had my will be done instead of hers, could you stand with me and reminisce your daughter? A portrait lies unfinished of the one I knew. Family of the one for whom I would have died her death, that she might live. Remember how much of her you own, and give from your gallery a sketch or 2 from time to time to help complete the portrait of the one I knew. Now, I wanted these poems to be in your hands, Joanne, while Paul was still alive. But he left so quickly. I had another poem to read to you. It was a friend of yours. I called him Carlo Roberto. And that's not his, well, it is his real name and it's not. But he's a friend of yours. Now this person greatly encouraged a childhood friend of mine who died in 2005. When I heard that he died, I thought of the kindness of this friend of yours, Joanne, and of Paul, a very close friend of Paul's. He's a very well-known person. So that's the reason I call him Carlo Roberto. When I heard that Billy Fling, my friend, died, I sat down, I wanted to write something about Billy, but I ended up writing something about Carlo Roberto. Because Billy became very well known in circles in New York City. He was an artist of flooring. And what Carlo Roberto saw the day that he inspected the work that Billy did for him, it took him 15 minutes, and then he turned to Billy and said, "Billy, you're an artist." And he helped him a great deal. For that, I am eternally thankful, Mr. Carlo Roberto. What you were looking at when you saw these extraordinary floors, the design, you were seeing the opera that my mother loved and the poetry that my father could recite from memory for hours on end. You see, Billy Fling was the only son of two drunks, honestly. While he called his mother, Mother, he called my mother, Mom, until the day she died. And Billy was part of our family. And so when I heard that you gave him your imprimatur, Billy, you're an artist, I remembered that. Shortly after he did that work for you, he was tragically hurt, and he was shaving and the pipes exploded. He lost the use of his two hands. He could no longer work. I encouraged him to contact you because, as he was indeed an artist, he could have worked in film. But he would have none of that. He specifically told me not to say anything to you, so I never contacted you. But after Billy died, I thought about your kindness to him, and I wrote this poem for you. And it kind of follows both our lives, you and me, and the similarities, not just between you and me, but between all human beings on this planet. So, Carlo Roberto, it's called You and I dearly wanted your dear friend, Paul Newman, and his wife, Joanne, to give you this poem while he still lived. You and I, for Carlo Roberto. We stole hubcaps, you and I, as in tandem did we sin, for kicks and money, Bernie Kaplan did me in. Fagin's what my father called him, who had lost his own so dear. Kaddish did we sing. Twist was I in Bernie's ring. We drove roadsters, you and I. Dear Donald Healy made your cars. Triumph took me to the bars. Glenn and Kennedy saw me in it. Walter drove a mile per minute until we bowed, salute in hand, waiting for the promised land. We were artists, you and I. Paris called, and we both answered. Pratt your stead, La Sorbonne mine. I bounced and managed Jackie's bar. Walk in metro took me far. To wander in La Cinémathèque, Henri Langlois, the cinema czar. We were Wazungu, you and I. Ula led me there, to Africa and Karen, where the land is oh so barren. Books were really rare. Sundowners took your film crew down, parasites for all, who drank with ice, not boiled water. Many paid the price. The Maasai elders laughed with me, which wasn't very nice. We are friends, you and I. Left and right, the coasts are we. The left is you, the right is me. No matter what the consequence, friendship is the key. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. There's much more I wanted to say to you, Joanne, but we're on such a public medium. Perhaps you could call one of your senators, Senator Blumenthal or Senator Lieberman, and I'll leave my telephone number there and my email address. You can contact me that way. There are so many things I want to say to you. Paul and I were both Brown Shoe Navy. Very proud of that. And he truly was an American hero. On May 11th, 1945, two kamikaze pilots drove their Japanese Zeros, their specially prepared Japanese Zeros, into the USS Bunker Hill. Paul was supposed to be down in that ready room, preparing for the mission with the rest of his squadron. But his pilot had an earache, and for that reason, the entire crew was grounded. Had Paul not had a saving like that, that his pilot was grounded, he would have been in that ready room and would have perished with every man of his squadron. That was just off Okinawa on May 11th, 1945. And we have him alive. We had him alive for all of these years. You were married to him for 50 years. So let me just say he was a true American hero. We should have met many times during our lives on this planet, Joanne. Unfortunately, we never did. I hope you enjoyed these poems. I only had less than a year with my Joanne. She was a librarian, and there are too many personal things I'd like to say, but not on this medium. Sur cette date, il y a trois ans, je suis mort et été né de nouveau dans le monde à venir. Par conséquent, nous partageons un anniversaire. J'espère, Joanne, vous avez passé un très joyeux anniversaire et j'espère que vous aimez ma poésie. Au revoir, à la prochaine, j'espère.